Hello everybody, I'm Bede and I, aka The Terrible Australian, and welcome to the fourth and final edition of my video reviews that I'm doing as part of the November Blog-A-Thon with my fellow film critic friends Super Marcy, Sam Inglis, A.G. Hackery, and Mike Ewan. And for this final video, I'm going to be reviewing the film that Marcy recommended me to check out for the Blog-A-Thon, which is the 1993 David Cronenberg film M. Butterfly. So let's get right into it. Based on the critically acclaimed play by David Henry Hwang, the film tells the story of a Frenchman by the name of René Gallimard, played by Jeremy Irons, who works as a diplomat for the French embassy in China in the early 1960s at the start of the Chinese Revolution. One day he goes to the theater and he meets a young Chinese opera singer by the name of Song Li-ling, and he witnesses her performing an excerpt from the opera Madame Butterfly. And immediately Gallimard is infatuated by her and he wants to meet her. And at first Song is very cold towards him, and she doesn't want anything to do with him. But eventually a relationship blossoms between the two, and they immediately fall in love and begin a passionate affair. Now, there is actually a lot more to the plot than that, but I've decided not to reveal any more, because by revealing what the rest of the film is about, we go into spoiler territory, and plus I don't want to ruin the surprises of the plot, because if I tell you what they are, it will just ruin the overall impact of the film. But what I can say about the film is this: I have to agree with Marcy. This is actually quite a good film, and I really dug it a lot. I don't think it's perfect by any means, and I'll go into it a bit later why that is, but it's definitely one of the most interesting films that Cronenberg has directed. And what I mean by that, because he's made a lot of very interesting films, but what makes this one sort of in its way more uniquely interesting than most of the other films in his filmography is the core relationship between Gallimard and Song. I was absolutely captivated by their relationship from beginning to end, and just where that relationship goes throughout the film, and where Cronenberg takes these two characters and where they go within the story is so interesting and so captivating, and also quite tragic too. And both these characters are so interesting and complex in their own ways, and it does help that both the performances from the two leads, Jeremy Irons and John Lone, both give fantastic performances in the film. They really inhabit their characters, and they bring so much to their characters that I found so riveting. And to me, that's where the strength of the film lies, is the relationship between their two characters, because the film lives and dies by these two characters' relationship with each other. And luckily Cronenberg handles that superbly. I thought he did a really good job with the relationship between Gallimard and Song, and the script's very well written. David Henry Hwang, who wrote the original play that this is based on, also did the film adaptation as well, and it's a quite well written screenplay, and there's so many really great scenes between Jeremy Irons and John Lone throughout the film. And one of my favorite scenes in the film, and this is the scene I found just fantastic, was the very last scene. How that scene was written, acted, and directed was just terrific. I thought that was such a great scene, and it also sort of ends the film on a very interesting and thought-provoking note, because the film sort of develops these really interesting themes throughout, and those themes sort of come back at the at the very end, and it ends up the film on such an thought-provoking note, and I just found it completely haunting, and it's definitely an ending that's gonna stay with me it's for a long time. I thought it was just so beautifully done. But also at the same time, this is definitely not a film for everyone. I can definitely understand somebody not really liking it. I could explain why that is. Again, that would go in the spoiler territory. And I know a lot of people would find the story itself and where the story goes pretty unbelievable. And in a way, I would agree with that. But but what makes this story interesting and so is that the film is actually based on an actual true story, and that just kind of blows my mind in a way, and it kind of proves once again that sometimes truth can be stranger than fiction. And yes, I wish I could explain why that is, but I'm not going to say a thing. So if you want to know why that is so, you'll have to check out the film yourself. In terms of negatives, even though I thought the relationship between the two main characters was superbly handled, it's just the aspects around their relationship I felt were not well as handled. Like the film sort of is set around the time of the Chinese Revolution in the early 60s, and so there is that sort of political turmoil at the center of the film. I kind of wish the film explored that a little bit more, and from what I understand, the play actually went further into that aspect, but when David Cronenberg came onto the film, he decided to remove most of that so that the film would focus more on the relationship of Gallimond and Song. And I can understand why Cronenberg would do that, because their relationship is the strongest aspect of the story. But I kind of wish that he did delve into more of the political aspect of the film, because I found that aspect quite interesting as well. And it also is a key element to the film as well. And it kind of feels like it gets a bit short-shifted during the film. And also, even though I thought the romance between these two characters was captivating, I kind of wish there was a bit more passion to it. Like, it's sort of throughout the whole film that this is like some extremely passionate love affair, and you kind of don't really get the passion aspect of this romance. It's there, but I kind of wish they went further with that as well, because it did come off a little bit cold at times. But luckily, both our lead actors were able to overcome that aspect and still deliver an interesting relationship regardless of that. But for a film that's supposed to be a love story, I kind of wish that sort of passion was there a bit more. And also there are a couple other aspects of the story I did find interesting, and I wish the film explored a little bit more. And I think because I think if he developed these aspects a little bit more, it would have given the film a much more well-rounded feel to it. Other than the relationship between our two main characters, the stuff around their relationship is kind of the weaker elements of the story. And I think if those aspects were just, and if they were just explored a bit more and handled a bit better, they would have been much more satisfying to me as a viewer. Overall, despite the problems I have with the film, I still liked it nonetheless. It's a really good, solid film from David Cronenberg, and I think it's worth checking out for sure. Whether you're a huge Cronenberg fan or just a casual admirer of his work like I am, there's a lot of things I think both sides will enjoy about the film. It won't be for everyone, but I think if you go with it, I think you'll get a lot out of it. And I also want to thank again Marcy for recommending this film to me. I wasn't sure what to expect from the film, but overall I was really pleasantly surprised by it. thank you again, Marcy, for recommending this film for me. It was a really good choice. Now, if I had to rate this film, I would definitely give it a solid 3.5 out of 5. It might go higher on repeated viewings, but at the moment I think a 3.5 is the best rating for the film for the time being. Because there are a lot of things I did like about the film, but I think some of the sort of problematic elements definitely stood out a lot as well, hence the 3.5 star rating. But it could go higher on repeated viewings, but at the moment I'm sticking with 3.5. Well, that's it. That's the end of my November Blog-A-Thon video reviews. I hope everyone enjoyed them. I had a lot of fun doing them. Thank you everyone for watching, and I also want to thank Super Marcy, AJ, Sam and Mike for letting me be a part of the Blog-A-Thon for November. And if you haven't read their Blog-A-Thon reviews, definitely go check them out after when you watch this video. I'll put all the links to all their reviews, all 4 of my video reviews, so you'll be able to check out everyone's reviews. And I don't know when I'll be doing more video reviews again in the future. Hopefully for when another special event comes up down the road, whether it be another Blog-A-Thon or something else, or maybe a film festival, I'll do more then. But until then, I'll see you all later. See you everyone. Bye.